everyone, and welcome back to my garden. If you're visiting the channel for the first time, my name's Diane and I live in the northeast of England, right on the coast. So whenever I go to North Yorkshire for a visit, one place I always love to go is RHS Harlow Carr, the gardens there. And in particular, I love to visit the Alpine house there. It's beautiful, great big greenhouse with just rows of beautiful alpines, and they dress it beautifully inside the greenhouse, but also outside the greenhouse. They have lots of little sort of stone planters with alpines in. They have slate walls with alpines wedged in and growing. It's just lovely, and it's really inspired me to have a little alpine section of my own in my greenhouse. Obviously nowhere near the grand scale of an RHS garden, but it doesn't really matter when we visit gardens and you see something you love. Quite often it's quite easy to come back and just adapt the scale to fit your garden. So in this case, it's adapting the scale to fit my greenhouse. So I've got a number of succulents and alpines which have lived in my south-facing conservatory for years. So much so that I'm quite embarrassed to show you actually, but they've sort of come through the winter this time just. So I think a lot of them are more than ready for to be split and to be put into some nice fresh gritty compost. And while I'm on with it, I thought, well, you know, I could give them a new environment to grow in as well. So hence I'm going to put quite a lot of them in the corner of this greenhouse. The other thing that Harlow Carr has shown me is that a lot of alpines are obviously quite hardy. And last year, I'll put a link to the video, but I did a stone planter with some that I bought. And I'm going to take the camera now and show you them. They've come through the winter in the northeast of England. It's been freezing for quite a lot of the winter. And we're right on the coast. We get that salty sea air and they are brilliant. I'm delighted with them. So I have got another little planter, a little stone planter, and I thought, you know, I might put one or two in that and put it at the front of my garden, because behind you, this part of the garden faces west and this part of the garden faces south. So all this area really is sort of southwesterly, so brilliant for succulents. So if we come down the garden here, this is the stone planter that I planted up last year. But considering it's so early, these are petals off the ornamental cherry tree. Considering we're so early in the year, they all look really healthy. The one in the middle, I don't know what he was called, but he didn't survive. So I need something else in the middle, and actually I think I've got just the right plant for that. I'll show you the other stone planter that I've got now. Right, so this is my other stone planter. But to tell you the truth, he just sort of languished there all last year. And I don't know about you, but when things are in the same position for a long time, I just stop noticing them. Whereas you move that planter, put some fresh plants in him, move him to a different position, and all of a sudden you really do start noticing the plants and the planter. So I'm going to take him round to the front. Right, so these are some of the succulents that I've got. Some of them are great, like this one. Now, he was just a bit that snapped off the parent plant, and I popped him in a pot and he's never looked back. So I'm thinking this one for the centre of that stone planter. Then I have this one, which I think it's called a pebble plant or a stone plant. It's just got some beautiful flowers on there. Now this big one here looked fabulous last year, but when you look in the middle there, he's desperate to be split. And then if we move this along, we've got a fabulous one here, but I mean, look how squished they are on there. You know, lovely and healthy, but they really need to be showcased properly. We've got all sorts in there. Yeah, they're desperate to be moved. And then if we come over here, please don't judge me. So this was the big parent plant that other piece snapped off. So he's lovely, and I think he deserves to be in a pot by himself. Then this little pebbly one here is in lovely condition, but this is completely gone. He actually did look like that all last summer. Unlike this pot, so everything looks nice and healthy in there. Love these ones here. Another little healthy pot there. I'll do the healthy ones first. So he doesn't look so healthy, him. The rosettes do in the middle, but it's sort of dead roundabout. Then he looks gorgeous, and he's artificial. Move him out the way. Right, then this was beautiful green and lush, and he just looks like he's on his last legs. I mean, still alive there. It's very hard doing this with one hand. So quite green there, so I'm not giving up on him. And then this one I love, but he's got some kind of horrible fly on him. So all I'm going to do with him is I'm not going to take him into the greenhouse because I don't want to spread that fly, but I'm going to give him a wash with some just some washing up liquid. Then this is the aloe vera I was saying I had, and you can judge me for this, but he hasn't been watered since before Christmas because I didn't even know he was there. I went up into the attic the other day and I was looking for something, and he was on a bookshelf. How on earth he's still alive? Then I have this lovely display. Sorry, I've got the washing machine on. That's what you can hear in the background. So love this one here. And then I've got a nice sort of pistachio green one here, and this one. And this is a west facing windowsill. So they've obviously loved it here. Right, that took longer than I expected. So I've brought them all through into the greenhouse, and actually they look better just putting them in this new location. So this is going to be fun. So I think we'll start with this one because this is really easy. So drastic but easy. And that I'm just going to cut all of this foliage off. So yeah, look how bone dry he is, poor thing. And that's the other thing I wanted to mention, because all through the winter I've given them very little water, but the water that I have given them has been tap water. Whereas actually I know they respond really well to rainwater. So he is Calicia repens, just in case you were interested. Not that you would be tempted to buy him by showing you the specimen that he was there, but he was magnificent last year. Right, I'm going to go and get some rainwater. And the watering is another area which I think I could vastly improve on, because I think I take it too literally when people say, oh, you know, they take very little water. So I tend to forget them and think, yeah, I'm watering them every week, but I'm not. I bet you it's probably once a fortnight if they're lucky. So what I'm going to do is I've got a drip tray there, and I'm just going to pop him outside and let him soak that water up. Right, so that's the first thing. The next thing is I want to get that fly off that other one. Right, so with this one, I'm going to cut this dead stem off. I'm going to cut him off there. And then this is an eco-friendly dishwashing liquid. So it hasn't got chemicals in it. But it should get rid of this little sticky fly. And sometimes your plants just get a fly even when they're in the healthiest of conditions. But if you have a plant and it's looking a bit sickly to start with, and then you forget to water it or whatever, it gets a fly, I'm going to put it in the soil as well, the washing liquid, kill anything in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this one by itself in my conservatory until I'm sure all the flies have gone. So I've just got an ordinary multi-purpose compost. That's what I'm going to use. And what I do is I mix it about 50-50 with horticultural potting grit, which is this. Oh, so heavy. That's what I use. Really cheap. I think that bag there was under a £5, but it really makes a difference because you need it to be really free draining for succulents and alpines. So that's how fine it is. It's lovely. And you can imagine when it's so free draining like that and you're only giving it a drink of water, you know, once a fortnight, it's not enough. It needs to be watered more. Right, so I'm going to get rid of this one here because he's just coming off in my hand there. Because he's done nothing all last year. You can tell he's got no real root system there. Where do I start? Oh, right. I shall show you this because what I want is a sort of major centerpiece for my Alpine corner. So I got this beautiful glazed pot in a charity shop the other day. There's the label. £4. The only thing was that it had no hole in the bottom. I brought it home and I drilled, what have I drilled? 6 holes in the bottom there. We'll start with this one then. So I think a bit more grit. And I'm not going to do what I normally do in the garden, which is overpack things. But I do have a tendency to do that. I'm going to give them room to spread out, but also I want them to look good straight away. Right, you know, I think I'm going to tip this whole little dish out. Oh, there we go. Oh, I'll show you these. So can you see, that was just a leaf that's snapped off one of the others, and I put it in the soil and it's already started to grow. So that's good. So I'll put him there. And then this has just fallen off this plant here. So when I Google it, it said you have to let that lie on a bench or somewhere for 2 days, and when that's crusted over, then you put it into the pot. So that's good. I'm just going to pop him there for the time being. So I'm not sure what to do with him. certainly doesn't need all that stem, does he? I'm just going to pop him in there like that. Right, when I look into this pot, which I'm going to have to dismantle, I'm going to snip that off there, because these aren't going to sort of rejuvenate, these leaves. There's no way they're going to rejuvenate. So I'm going to take off the dead foliage down to probably about there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this all off at the bottom. And then when it's all planted out, I'll top dress it with this lovely white, I think it's Cotswold stone. In there. I think I'm going to leave these little tree ones here in, and this one and this one, but take out these ones here. So what I thought is, I think it needs a bit of lightness over this side, and then this little plant here would be perfect. So once they're potted up, they are low maintenance, but they're not, you can't just completely neglect them, as I think I have over the winter. Now I've got to be careful in the middle with those tiny little ones there. So I think what I'll probably end up doing is what I did with the outdoor Alpine one that I did last year. So I put a mix of Cotswold stone and then tiny bits of grit around some of the smaller plants like this. So I'll put some stone in there, because there's no babies in there. And what this does is it looks pretty, so it showcases your plants, but also it keeps the moisture from evaporating out of the soil when you have watered them. And it also, if you position it right, it keeps the little succulent's head above the wet soil. Right, the next plant that I'm going to focus on is this one here, and he is so beautiful and perfect. And now that I've taken out all those other sort of poorly, sickly looking plants, I think he will be fine in this pot for probably another year. Right, now this little one where we took all of those, these ones out of, I've left the stems in so the roots are there, But I'm thinking this little tree and these two little bits of that tree plus this one plus this is so healthy. Do I really want to disturb him? My thinking is no. But he looks a bit sparse there, so what I'm thinking is I will pop a couple of these back down there, and then when that one is hardened off in 2 days time, I'll just pop him there, that pebble one. Right, I'm not entirely sure that this is going to work with the aloe vera, because I don't know what to do about that stump there. There's nothing can come out of there and make a root, is there? So what I'm going to do is, it said make a nice flat plate. Oh dear. Right, there we go. That bit off there. In fact, I think I'll cut that off there. So he's all twisted round on himself, but that is the sort of moist stump of the aloe vera, and that needs to dry out. So I'm just going to put it on there with them, and then I'm going to do the same with that little end there. At least it's giving him a chance, isn't it? But this bit here is actually rooted in this very dusty, dry compost. Like I say, he was on the bookcase in the attic. I didn't even know he was there. So yes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put him in a new pot. So we'll fill that up. We'll see how much root he's got. I hope he doesn't fall to bits. Look how dry and dusty that is. Oh, right. Okay. So there we go. He's got a nice bit of root. So nice gritty compost. We'll pop him in there like that. Welcome to your new home. Now I've been reading up on aloe vera, and they say that they like it bright, but they don't like direct sunlight. And tomorrow I'll put these other, well, not tomorrow, the next day, isn't it? 2 days it said. I'll put him in and I'll put him in, and then he'll look quite substantial. Right, so the next thing I want to do is to give these plants some fresh compost. It's a shame because I do like this arrangement. I love the way this one is sort of climbing through the bars, but his compost is just so dry. I'm so worried I snap them. Right, got one out, 2 out. Just got this one to get out now. Oh, I think this one definitely deserves to be in the greenhouse, because I'll see him so much more in here rather than in the laundry. I'll spend as little time as possible in there. Oh, he's very pop round. Very, very dry and dusty, that. Right, so I'm going to pop him in there. He's just a lovely crazy shape, isn't he? He's going every which way. It's probably because I keep turning the little cage that he was in. I kept turning it round. Right, now I'm going to put him in a drip tray and give him a good soak, because the middle, the soil that the actual plant was in was bone dry. Right, I'm going to give him a water. He's got a tiny little root ball, hasn't he? Is that going to be too big for him? No, I think this one would be better for him. So that leaves this pot free for this one, which it does seem okay in there, but oh no. Yeah, oh, and he's got a little baby at the bottom there. So take the old foliage away. So dry, gosh, I feel so guilty. But it's hard, isn't it? Because they say you mustn't overwater them, particularly in the winter. And I haven't, and he is alive and he is nice and healthy, so because he's had a baby. There we go. I want everything to be really healthy. Oh, lovely. They do look better in terracotta pots, don't they? Right, I'll give him a drink. Oh yes, I'm really pleased with that. I think it looks lovely. Right, so now I think we'll go and plant this beauty. Right, so I've had a rethink about this, and my thinking is now that I'm going to dig, not today because it's too cold, and I also want to see how this does, but I'm going to dig this plant out here that died in a couple of weeks' time, and I'm going to put him in there. I think he looks stunning. He looks better already. I only washed him about an hour ago. So yes, I'm going to put him in there, but I'm going to keep him in the conservatory for the next couple of weeks and just monitor him, keep him watered but not too wet, and make sure those flies don't come back. Right, so I think the last thing I'm going to do today, and then I'll have to stop, is this. So I'm going to plant this out with all the plants that I was showing you before, like these little ones where, you know, all of them look a bit poorly. But if I clean them up and arrange them in here, so I've got this huge pot here. He all needs separating. So I'll probably get half of him in there and half of him back in this beautiful pot that he's in. But then I'll have to keep this in the greenhouse for, well, I would say until the end of May up here, because there's a difference between these succulents and the ones that you buy that are meant to go outdoors. I'll put a link to the video where I plant that round planter out and you'll see what I mean. So these, if the temperature really dropped, which it's quite likely to until the end of May, these probably wouldn't survive, whereas those ones in that round planter have survived all winter. So here I'm going to pull the Linaria out, tons of that, but I do like this purple sort of 3-leaf clover one. I don't know what it is. I tend to go shopping with my sister and we'll buy plants and little succulents. You know, you can spend about £6 each on them. So it looks like that's something I've bought in the past. It doesn't just look like a weed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig it all out and I'm going to pot that up separately. So there we go, we're all done. I've had a bit of a rejig because you can see that's baking hot sunshine at the end there, and I think they're happier in a very light condition, but maybe not that intense sun coming through the greenhouse glass. So they should all be a lot happier. So I've had a good tidy out of the greenhouse. So there we go. I hope if you are into alpines, you've enjoyed this video. And if you're not into alpines or sort of on the cusp, so I don't know whether I like them or not, I would just say try a couple. They're very addictive once you get started. And you don't need to have a huge display like this. I mean, I do realize making these videos that I'm very much a maximalist when it comes to the garden. I tend to over sow seed and overstuff borders. But you could just have one or two pots in a conservatory or a nice sunny porch or on a kitchen windowsill. I think it's just a fun thing to do and it adds another element of interest for me anyway. So I hope you're having fun in your garden now that the weather's changing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.